What's going on, guys? So hopefully you've had an incredible day so far. Want to fill you in on some of the stuff that we're currently hearing, some of the stuff going on behind the scenes of this large infrastructure bill of roughly 2.25 trillion. That's just the first half of it. We still have the second half that will be unveiled most likely in the next few weeks. Right now, what we know is progressives say that this is not enough. 2.25 trillion is just not enough and will not cut it. Democrats want to see very specific pieces of legislation within this next bill, yet they are not getting it at this point, and Republicans won't support a bill of this size. They say it is just too large. Now, while everybody is fighting, the Biden administration is currently moving forward in some ways that are actually breaking from Democrats, and some people are calling them out on this. And this could potentially lead to some issues leading into the negotiation of this next bill. And this is going to be a big bill. Right now, in the House, Democrats can only lose 3 votes. If they lose 4, the bill will not pass. In the Senate, it's completely different. The Democrats cannot lose 1 single vote, or else the bill will not pass. And that also means that in the Senate, it would have to go through a budget reconciliation, which looks like it is most likely the case. And according to Bernie Sanders, that is currently how he plans to pass this bill. Now, today, the White House press secretary, Jen Psaki, she had this to say. And this I thought was very interesting because this is where President Biden is breaking from Democrats. And this is going to cause a major problem. Currently, the Biden administration is not including the SALT tax deduction that Democrats want and have been asking for. And what we are hearing right now, according to a few reports, is that a couple senior advisors to the Biden administration say that capping the SALT tax, like former President Donald Trump did, was actually good policy because it does save money. So we will see, but this is where we're going to see some back and forth between President Biden himself and Democrats. And I think this is where we're going to see this bill that, according to Jen Psaki and according to White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain, we are going to see this bill not pass in the summer if we start to see some little bit of issues pop up here and there. And again, this is a fairly big issue. This is something that Democrats have been pushing for a while, yet they thought they could get it, and as of right now, it looks like it's not likely. But another fight that has been progressing in recent days, and this is something that I mentioned before, it actually relates to direct payments to the American people. And the reason why I bring this up, and tomorrow, on Friday, April 2nd, it's going to be a big day because tomorrow morning, we will have the new unemployment numbers. They will be out, which means that, and this is one of the things that we have been kind of looking forward to, because if the unemployment numbers are not dropping as quickly as some experts say they need to, we could potentially see more stimulus checks talked about sooner rather than later. Now, a lot of economists do say that another stimulus check will be needed. Even though many did get a $1,400 stimulus check, they're saying it was not enough. The reports indicated this morning that many people are spending this money. About 67% of this money that has gone out is going to bills and not to the stock market and to Bitcoin and just putting it into savings. It's going to bills, which is a very good sign for the economy that, okay, people needed the money and now they're going to spend the money on the essentials, on their bills. That is good news. But what has been really progressing over the past few days is actually the talks on this ABC Act. And this is just one proposal, okay? I'm not saying this is the best one. It's just the only one that is out there at this time. This is what is calling for an additional stimulus check. And actually, it's a monthly stimulus check of $2,000 per month, but this is only going to last for the rest of this pandemic. If this pandemic is technically over in, let's say, December, then the last $2,000 stimulus check you would get would be in December, and then you'd see a $1,000 stimulus check from January of 2022 all the way until January of 2023. So that's how that's currently being discussed and written. But again, this is just the one that most people are addressing because this is the only one that is out out there. So don't think that this is the best one. Don't think that this is the one that's most likely to pass. I don't think this is most likely to pass. I think possibly a $2,000 stimulus check, if it was one time, could pass, but most likely it's going to be far less than that, and it will not be a monthly check. So just keep that in mind, because right now some moderates believe that if done right, another stimulus check could be a strong possibility, and it would actually help out the economy and the American people. But one report this afternoon said that if the stimulus checks could be tied to the state and the state's unemployment numbers, and also the amount based off of the cost of living in that state, this could potentially be a feasible thing. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen. This was just an idea that was thrown out by, I don't remember which lawmaker it was. It was a rep in the House, a representative in the House of Representatives. But, we will see. Right now, I just don't think it's going to happen, because I think it would be too complicated to tie stimulus checks to the current unemployment rate of that specific state, and also to change the size of the stimulus checks based off the cost of living in that particular state. So we will see what happens, but just know there are talks, and they're going to be ongoing for some time. So I wanted to mention this, okay? The only reason I really wanted to mention this is so that I can kind of put that into your head, not to be like, hey, this is what's going to happen, worry or be excited for it. The reason why is because at this time, we're going to see that infrastructure is imperative. We're going to see it. It's going to happen. And it's going to be very beneficial to help us remain, as the United States, as one of the most powerful countries in the world, right? We need that. But stimulus is going to be key, according to many economists, because right now they say keeping businesses open is going to be essential. If businesses are not open, and the reason they're not open, again, we got to solve the little problems. Okay, it's not just, hey, let's provide infrastructure. Let's give people more jobs. That'll be great. But if the businesses aren't open, these small businesses are not open because, well, they don't have customers, because their customers can't afford their products because they don't have a job or don't have any money. This is where we solve the initial problem. Give people money. They will take that money. They'll go and spend it at the different grocery stores and businesses and mom and pop shops. And then the mom and pop shops and grocery stores and businesses will take that money, pay for their employees, their suppliers, all these things, and then that we'll see the velocity of money start to expand instead of staying stagnant where it has been. So that's kind of what we know right now. But they also say, and this is from economists, they're saying that feeding children in poverty and providing for low-income families is a needed thing. We cannot afford to leave children in poverty and not provide for low-income families while dealing with infrastructure. If we do this, we're going to see that there's going to be a big shift. It's going to be where instead of providing relief to the American people, we push all of our money to the expansion and the recovery of our nation, which will be great, but some say it's going to take far too long. So one of the issues right now is that the child tax credit is what many people are saying is what is needed. However, we still have to get this worked out. The IRS has no clue if they're even going to be able to meet the deadline of July 1st. We hope so. However, it is kind of up in the air at this point. So once we get a more definitive answer on this, we will probably hear from progressives a little bit more, and chances are they're going to rush to get additional stimulus or direct payments out to the American people, simply because we could see that the child tax credit just doesn't go through the way that they planned. So as we get more information there, I promise I will keep you updated. Now, just because this is all a process, right? It's a huge process, and this is something that is part of the process, is to do the negotiations, the back and forth, the different proposals. President Biden's going to sit down with Republicans. He's going to sit down with Democrats, and probably mix them here and there to get their different ideas and opinions. But what I can tell you is right now, Democrats, they're going to have a large voice in this, obviously, because President Biden is a Democrat. But what is in this next bill will not be all based off of what Democrats within the House and the Senate want. Some of it's going to be what President Biden deems is the most important. And if it's okay, a Democrat's provision in the House versus President Biden himself, who do you think is going to get that win? Yeah, it's going to be President Biden. So we'll see what happens there. Now, whether this is going to be a two-part bill or just one bill, that's currently unknown. That is going to be the big question, because right now Republicans say, and specifically Mitch McConnell says, he is going to fight it every step of the way. And I truly believe he will. Reports this afternoon state that Republicans are furious. They say that this large infrastructure bill is just going to be a trick or kind of a smoke and mirrors to provide a liberal wish list of items and get this into the bill. And we know this happens every single time, and Republicans are calling Democrats out on this because it happened in the $1.9 trillion stimulus package. But they're saying that, yes, we know you're going to throw something in there, you're going to hide it in the bill, and we will not find out about it probably until the bill passes. And again, I think that's funny, because that's exactly what Republicans do as well, or did in the past. So it's pretty much a one-way street, depending on who holds the majority. Right now, Democrats hold the majority, so Republicans are furious with them. When Republicans held the majority just a few months back, Democrats were upset with them. So it is what it is, but we just have to move forward. We also know Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, he says he's going to fight this bill with everything he's got, and this will most likely pass. However, it's going to be delayed. He will delay this no matter what, and chances are it will be delayed, but I don't think it's going to be delayed as much as many people think, simply because of Republicans. I think it's going to be delayed more because of Democrats trying to get all their different provisions into this bill. So we'll see what happens there, but I know right now a lot of people are excited about all the new infrastructure that could be coming in the near future, but one thing I just want you to keep in mind is that Jen Psaki said, and even President Biden stated, that this will pass in the summer. Their goal is to get, according to Nancy Pelosi, she wants to get it passed before July 4th. However, according to most lawmakers, they say no. The goal is to get it passed before the August recess, so pretty much any time in July is what they're currently looking at. But here's what I want you to keep in mind. If Republicans try to block this, which they will, then chances are this bill is going to need a little bit more support, is going to need a little bit more time, and we could see this push through into the fall. We might not see this bill get done before the August recess, and being that this bill is not going to be a high priority as far as it has to get done in July, or else millions of people can't pay for their food and all these things, right? This isn't the relief package. This isn't a stimulus package. This is the infrastructure bill, which means Democrats, Republicans, all of Congress can just go on recess for August and not have to worry about a thing. They won't worry about a thing. They'll take a vacation, do whatever they want, come back in September, and they'll be well rested, and hopefully can pass the bill then. But according to experts right now, they're saying that this is going to be a difficult bill to pass. That right now, according to Bernie Sanders, it will be a budget reconciliation, and it's possibly going to be about a $4 trillion bill, but this is going to be a nightmare of a bill to get done. That is what a few experts are saying, and these are experts on Senate rules. Okay, so in the House, things are obviously different. In the Senate, things get a little tricky. They state that this will be extremely messy, and it's going to take much longer to get passed than the American Rescue Plan took to pass. And as we know, the American Rescue Plan seemed like it took a little bit longer than most people expected, and it was simply because of the Senate parliamentarian and the Senate rules. So we also know right now Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren want to see a minimum wage increase right about $15 per hour. But according to reports today, they say the reports say things could be swapped for other things. So instead of the minimum wage provision, we could see that swapped out for stimulus. We could see that swapped out for tax credits for lower income individuals. And this is a way that and I just want to throw this out there because I haven't really addressed this for probably about 3 weeks, maybe a month, is that one of the things we could see is Bernie Sanders say, okay, we're going to tax larger corporations, 15%, right? Just 15% on whatever. And okay, great. We're going to tax them 15%. Well, instead of them just paying to lower the deficit, why don't we take that 15% the larger corporations are paying into the US government for tax purposes, and we will take that money and we will give that as a tax credit to lower income families. And so even though they're not getting that $15 per hour minimum wage throughout the entire year, if this, let's say it comes out to a $3 per hour, raise or whatever, and let's say that's what, $4,800. So let's say you get extra $500 per month. So it comes out to, was that $6,000 per year? What if instead of just giving that $15 minimum wage provision, putting that into the next bill, which would be difficult to pass because it doesn't actually impact the federal government's budget, why don't we just do a tax credit? And so that's kind of what we heard in the past. We've heard a little bit of rumors on that, maybe bringing it back up, because right now Bernie Sanders is not really addressing minimum wage. He's talking more about a little bit with Medicare, and he's obviously talking about how the richest, the 1%, all these billionaires here in the United States have made trillions of dollars over this past year when millions and millions of Americans are still on unemployment. So that's one thing we know. Medicare for all is another thing that it's up in the air, because at this point, and I addressed this earlier on today, we are hearing that the chances of this passing are not as high as Medicare for more. This would simply be where instead of having Medicare start at 65, you can start at 60 or possibly 55. So we'll see more as to what happens there. But what I can tell you is there's a lot of talks. There's a lot of things going back and forth amongst Congress, or amongst our congressmen and women. But we will see. It's an interesting thing to read some of these articles, see some of these opinion pieces that some people are putting out. Some of these are just complete garbage. Most likely never happen, and so I don't even address those things, those stories. I could, and it would just blow your mind what some of these people are trying to propose or their ideas that they come up with. So I don't want to fill your head on stuff that we will never see happen, but just understand the things I mentioned today are all things that are currently being discussed. So just keep those things in mind. If you have any questions whatsoever, you can always ask your questions down in the comment section below. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. Consider subscribing so I can continue to keep you updated on everything that's going on, and I'll see you guys on the next one.